When he first came in, he was angry, distressed, confused, needed to know that he was here permanently, that this was his long-term family. He didn't want to be moved again. He was obviously so distressed about being moved from placement to placement, and he wanted to know it was forever. It's forever family, he called us.
But he also needed to be in control, and that is sort of a common
Yes.
theme with children who are placed into care, that in the home environment they've needed to take control because the adults that the natural parents or the adults that they've lived with are a bit dysfunctional, so therefore the children, for their own protection, need to be in control. And then when they come to a foster carer, they can't relinquish that control, which they need to do to be children again. So they come as mini adults, really. And he did, and he wanted, so it was all got to be on his terms. Well, no, it doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. It has to be on our terms.
He didn't want to go to bed until he was ready.
Till he'd watched his final programme.
Yes,
I'm not...
I used to stop up all night. Well, I'm going to stop up all night. Oh, no, you're not, young man.
No.
It's bedtime. It started off by reading him a story, which he really liked, a bedtime story. But initially still didn't want to go upstairs. And then I would say to him, first one upstairs gets to pick the story. And I would race him upstairs, and he would always get there first.
And if he doesn't come, you say, I'm waiting to read the story.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you, So
yeah. I'm going to choose the story, so he comes running then. Oh, no, I don't want that one, I want this one. And we make it fun, and I do all sorts of silly
what
things,
I do, if I'd take him to bed, I'd say, I'll pick a short story. And he likes to pick a long one, you see, so it gets more of your time. I know I'm going to pick a very short one. So.
Oh, he likes lots of time at bedtime.
Yeah.
I find that with most children. And you've got to have time to give them. It's no good being in a hurry to come downstairs and watch Coronation Street. You've got to have time to play and read the stories.
Yeah.
We feel it's really important for some of the children we look after. Their lives are so out of control and so chaotic, and then it's a sort of big whirlwind of social workers come in and take over, and suddenly they're in our house and they're settling in. We feel it's important for the children sort of quite early on to be able to make some decisions for themselves, so they don't feel totally out of control. We give them choices wherever we can to, choose, and it might be something small like to choose the cereals in the supermarket, or which bread they want or which jam they want, just something simple, but to them it's important.
He had been behaving quite badly, and when we were ready to go for lunch, he stood by the river, which at that time of year was a raging torrent, and leaned over the wall and said, I'm going to stay here, because he knew that we couldn't leave him. So I asked the others to go and for Gordon to take the other children for lunch, and just leaned over the wall with him and said, there are two ways we can do this. Either we can stay here for an hour whilst they all go and have their fish and chips, and I'll stay with you because I don't mind, I'm not hungry. Or we could go with them and have some, and the choice is yours. What's it going to be? And he chose the fish and chips, obviously.
It's a good, confident building, I think, surrounding for the children. They talk about things that annoy them. They also talk about, within that context of that meeting, about positive things. They'll go around and they'll say one good thing about each other. And then they'll set themselves target. How can I make that better for that person? And they actually do that for themselves. I don't have anything at all to do. And if I've annoyed them, they'll tell me too, So I have to set targets as well. So it's a really lovely time that they can just, be able to say exactly how they feel. It's about empowering them, for them being able to say, hey, this is something I'm actually good at. I can actually put something together and I can actually do it all on my own without somebody saying, do it now, do it, and it's actually good.
Walking down the streets, coming home from school, and I got pulled by the police and pinned up against the wall and told to spread eagle and they were searching me and I was pretty scared, and I went home and told my mum and that. And she dealt with that problem. She would talk to me. She would also say that it might have to do with some of the friends that you hang around with. They're probably known by the law. Just mainly give me advice on how to handle the police if they ever stopped me again and she wasn't around, how to talk to them, how to present yourself, how not to give them lip and attitude because it makes it worse for yourself. And that's what she did. She taught me something that I never knew about before I had experience with, and she didn't really have experience with, but she'd talked to other people. And that's what the advice that they had given her, and she passed it to me.
I think the first time that I thought that they trusted me was after I'd moved in. There was already a young man living there, and when he moved on, he was a lot younger than me. So after about 2 or 3 months, they suddenly decided that they were going to go out for a night, and they went for a meal and had a drink and left me in the house on my own, which was quite an experience because on one hand you're thinking, well, they trust me, and then the other hand you think, they're not here, which is quite strange if they've always been there. So eventually that became quite regular as soon as, you know, the first night was over and they knew that I hadn't had a wild party and nothing was broken, and that came quite regular, which is quite nice.